Perfect mess is my perfect mess. Perfect mess is my perfect mess.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? This is Ray Molina, and welcome to the Perfect Mess Podcast. I'm your host, and this is episode 15. So, today is probably going to be one of those times where I got to give you a disclaimer. It's probably going to be one that ruffles a little bit of feathers and whatnot, and that kind of happens with life, especially nowadays. The world's in a place where people don't necessarily see eye to eye on a whole lot of things right now. And instead of talking, a lot of people are arguing. A lot of people are not friends anymore. A lot of family members are saying, I'm no longer associating with this family member anymore, based on just difference of opinions, and the way people are approaching the topics that are going on in this particular day. So this is what this whole episode is going to be about, because hey, I'm no stranger to any of this. It's been happening to me as well. It's probably been happening to all of you as well, and I just feel like, what I do on this podcast is I share my life with you guys, and things that I deal with, and how I get through them, how I navigate life. I just share it with you guys. But before we get to that, like always, I want to talk about what we've been up to, what I've been up to, how I've been with my kids, and what's been going on in life. I have, most of you guys know that I do Uber Eats with my kids. I started doing that specifically for my kids because, again, like I've said in previous podcasts, there are no paper routes anymore. Those are a thing of the past. So I was trying to find a way to teach my kids how to earn money, how to learn how to earn money, aside from doing chores and doing things like that. But how can they actually work and earn money? How can I teach them that before they are actually of age to actually be getting their own jobs? So Uber Eats was the thing for me to do that. And we've got a new thing now. So I downloaded the app Instacart. And if you're familiar with it, if you use it, it's pretty amazing. You can actually use this app and order your groceries, and someone will accept the job and go shopping for you. So I read a little bit about it. I thought, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to do something new with my kids. Take them, we can go shopping at a grocery store or whatever. Excuse me. And they can earn some money. So that's what we've done a couple of times now. We've done Instacart, and I've taken my boys, and it's kind of like a scavenger hunt. We go to the store, and the app shows you little photos of what they're looking for. Excuse me. And then it actually shows you the quantity of what they need, and if that one is out of stock, what brand or what other one that they can take as a replacement. And then you just notify the customer, hey, this one's out of stock, so we're going to use the replacement, and they can give you a thumbs up and tell you it's okay. So that's been the new thing that we've been doing, and my kids love it. It takes a little while longer for us to do that because we're actually shopping, but they like it because they make more money. So if you're looking for something to teach your kids on how to earn money, and you're struggling, like, I got to get these kids out of the house, it's a good way to get them out of the house. It's a good way to keep them busy, and it's a good way to teach them how to earn their own money and teach them how to work. As a matter of fact, we were in a Rayleigh's, and we were doing it, and apparently, because you have this little green lanyard, it says Instacart, and my son was wearing it, and just so they know that he's shopping for Instacart. And there was an older lady who was actually doing the same thing, and she saw my son, and she goes, "Wow, that's a really good idea. Your son, I need to bring my kids." She's like, this is great. Like, and my son goes, "This is fun." She goes, "Oh my God, like you just gave me a great idea. Like my kids are at home right now with their dad, but I could take them with me and they could earn money and do a lot of the work." I'm like, "Exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing." And she's like, "Thank you so." She goes, "I'm so glad I ran into you guys." So, if you're looking for a way to make some money and teach your kids along the way how to earn their own money, Instacart is a great way to go. And yeah, I will. I believe I got a code or something where if you sign up, you use my code, you can get a discount and get a bonus or something. So I'll put that on the if I have it, I will put that on the podcast description, and I will also put that on the YouTube description for the video. So if you do actually sign up and you use my code, I believe there's a bonus program where you can get a bonus after so many batches you do. They call them batches, and then I'll get a bonus. So yeah. So if you're looking for something to do to keep your kids active during this crazy time, Instacart. I recommend it. And like I told you, we do Uber Eats. The kids love that. So and they make their own money, man. And I think I told you guys before. I make them take half of that money and put it in the bank, and the other half they can take and use for whatever gummy bears, ice cream, V-Bucks, whatever they're into, they can use it for within reason. So there's that. Um, Homeschooling um, has been going good actually. The kids are doing they're doing fine. Jordan's been doing extremely great. He just showed me on his report for his last week that he got all A's. And Jaden just got an 85 out of 100 on his last test. He was very proud of that. So, I mean, they're moving along, man. You know, we're getting through it, and like anything else, it's a learning process for us. There are days where it's easier than previous, and then there are days where you're just like, well, today sucks, but we got to get through it, right? So uh, we've had a little bit of a mixture of both days, but we're getting through it. Uh, I want to give you guys a tip because this is something that I was trying to figure out because my kids, what they were doing was on their lunch break or during their regular breaks, they would get on their iPad. And I kept looking. I'm like, man, they're on their computer all day for their Zoom classes or for their Google Meetup classes. And they're on the computer looking at the computer all day. And then during their breaks, they're grabbing their iPad and they're watching their little YouTube shows that they like or whatever, or gaming. And I'm like, okay. I started to feel guilty. I'm like, I got to get these guys active. I can't have them go from their laptop to the iPad and then back to the laptop. Um, So what I started doing, I said, "Hey guys, give me 2 or 3 minutes before you go jump on your thing. Give me 2 or 3 minutes, okay? And let's go outside and let's stretch." So what we would do is go in the backyard or go in the front yard when it was smoky, because in California we've had some crazy fires, but they're gone now, so the air is better. But when it was smoky, we do it in the house. We just pull them aside, and then I would go through a routine of stretching with them, just stretching. All I would have them do is stretch their arms, their fingers, their hands, their legs, reach up, touch the sky, stretch their back, and we would just go through a whole series of stretches for about 2 to 3 minutes, um, and roll their neck and do all that, and then they could go back, eat for their break or their lunch, and then they can play their iPad. I'm not trying to be super strict with the iPad. Um, and whatnot during COVID because things are tough on kids already. They already can't go around all their friends. They already can't play sports. They can't do anything. No amusement parks are open. Nothing's open. So I'm trying to find that middle ground, that balance. Um, and you got to kind of it's a give and take. You got to be okay with giving in on certain things that under normal circumstances you wouldn't do. So that's what I'm doing. But if I could give you a tip, if you're homeschooling your kids, is take the time out a couple times a day and just get them outside to stretch. And if it's the weather's, we're going to get into a rainy season here pretty soon. But if the weather isn't, participating, and then do it inside. But get them to step away and go through some stretches, and just make sure they stay limber. If you are like me, I have been working with computers since 1996, and it's just it's a wear and tear, man. What are we, 2020 now? That's 24 years that I've been in front of a computer, and I feel it in my hands. I feel it in my neck. Feel it in my back. I mean, everything. You name it, you feel it. So I just want to make sure that I'm doing my best to help them avoid any of that at a young age, especially right now. Because it's not like they're always sitting in computers when they're actually at school. They use them, but for the most part, they're looking at a teacher teach a lesson, right? So that's a tip I can give you with regards to homeschooling. Their mom actually bought them some really cool glasses. They're glasses for I don't the name skips my brain now that I'm about to talk about it, but they're glasses for the TV screen, for the monitor. So they actually wear these glasses. They look like regular glasses, and they actually help with the glare from the computer screen. So both of my kids wear them, and I thought that was a really dope idea that their mom came up with to help them out because they are on the computer more than they used to be. So yeah, so look into those glasses. They're for kids, and I'm sure they have them for adults as well. You just wear them at once you're sitting in front of your laptop, so you're not getting so much wear and tear, and it helps with the glare and whatnot. So that's something that their mom did, and it was awesome. They look handsome wearing them. I got a couple of pictures. I'll share on my Instagram with you guys, and you can check that out. But that's pretty much what we've been up to. We've been working out. I've got them on a little program where we do Tuesdays and Thursdays, and some days we'll work out inside, some days we'll go outside. But we do a series of push-ups, jumping jacks. We do dips on chairs. We do air squats. We do burpees. We do all of that. We do some band work. I mean, you name it, we do it. And it's just a way to keep them healthy. And to me, that's the most important. That's the most important thing you can do, especially going through COVID right now. Stay healthy. Work hard at getting your health in order. Take your vitamins. Continue to exercise. Continue to eat right. Continue to just take care of your body and treat it with the utmost respect. That's the message here, and that's what we're trying to do. And we do it every day. I do it every day, and my kids at least work out twice a day. I mean, twice a week, but I also give them a third workout on the weekend. And what that is we usually go bike riding or we go hiking. So it's usually one of the two. So they get about three solid workouts throughout the week. And then in between, we throw the ball around. I still have them fielding grounders and pop flies, and I have them pitching. And we just stay active. Speaking of baseball, I posted a video on my Instagram, and I was pretty happy. During when school was over, I told my kids, "Hey, you guys can go play Fortnite for an hour, but when you're done, I want to go in the backyard and I want you guys to pitch. I'll catch. I want to work on your pitching." Because I had watched some video of an old video of my son Jordan, and he really wants to pitch. Jaden is a natural pitcher. Like, he's just natural. He has the motion, everything. He's just a natural pitcher. And Jordan really, really wants to pitch, but he has to work at it. And I looked at one of the videos that I had posted a while back, and I noticed something when he was pitching. And I said, you know what? For the longest time, I've been trying to figure out what is he doing wrong, because he's a thrower. He's not a pitcher. He just throws the ball. And I know that there was something simple to fix there, and I figured it out. He doesn't have a high leg kick. He doesn't kick his leg when he pitches. He literally just cocks back and throws it like he's playing catch to warm up. And his leg just kind of barely lifts off the ground and goes forward. So I said, okay, I'm going to teach him. I'm going to work on that with him. So we go in the backyard, and I show him what I'm talking about. I said, look, Don't aim the ball. Don't try to throw hard. Just fix this one thing. Do me a favor, and when you get ready to throw the ball, when you wind, lift your leg. I want your knee up towards your chest. Bring your knee, give me a high leg kick, come forward, and give me a long arm over the top. Okay? Don't do anything crazy. Don't try to throw hard. Don't aim the ball. Just focus on giving me a high leg kick and go. And it worked. I got to tell you, man, as a dad, I was so freaking proud. And I posted a video on my Instagram, but I was so damn proud because I seen it in his face that he realized that we fixed it. And he wasn't trying to throw hard, but he had way more velocity on the ball. And he realized it. He knew it. He smiled at me and I said, "Do you see it?" He's like, "I do." I said, "You see how hard you're throwing now? Not only that, you have a pitcher's motion now. You're coming back, you're giving me a high leg kick and you're coming back and you're throwing forward and the ball is coming at a great velocity and it's hitting the target." It's not going to be perfect every time. You're going to have to tweak it some days. Some days you're going to be off and you got to tweak it. But that has been a major problem. And man, was I happy. We just spent time in the backyard just working on it. And I had him throw about 30, 40 pitches. And yeah, man, it was great. It was just one of those moments, one of those father-son moments that you're always going to remember. And I just wish that we had some games in actual Little League going on right now so we could actually get him out there on the field and try it and test it. But yeah, that's kind of what's been up, and it was really cool to get that figured out. What else, man? That's pretty much it. Let's just jump off into this whole podcast because I have a completely different outlook when it comes to COVID and everything that's been going on. The shutdowns, the quarantine, the shelter in place. My outlook is, I don't know, it's probably not the most popular, but I have my outlook like you watching or listening have. And my outlook is simple. I get a lot of DMs. I don't reply to all of them because a lot of people are just talking shit. But some people, actually want to have a conversation and they have some good. They approach me correctly, and I'm like, okay, I think we can have a conversation. But I get DMs on videos that I share regarding the mask, regarding churches fighting back, regarding gyms fighting back, and more recently, I got a DM regarding podcast 13, which on the cover you see me wearing a face shield, and someone had a comment about that, had approached me in Instagram saying, I seen somewhere that you said you were an anti-masker and didn't believe in them and that they didn't work. You're conflicting. I don't understand you. You send mixed messages. Why? And then they sent me that picture. Because on the actual cover of my podcast that I used, I'm hiking, but it's a picture of me with a green face shield over above my entire face, up the back of my neck. And I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to say, why are you wearing a mask when you're outdoors and if you're not afraid and if you're an anti-masker and if, I get it. And my reply was simple. That's not a mask. And a matter of fact, that picture was taken in January on a hiking trip. A solo hiking trip I was on before this whole pandemic thing kicked off. And that is not a mask that is used for anything virus related or medical related or anything. That's an actual shield. It goes around your neck. All right. It looks like a turtleneck, and then you just pull it up over your face. It's a face shield. Construction workers wear them. People who work outside and people who hike, all of that. They wear them so there's no bugs or anything like that go in their face, and it protects them from anything. It doesn't protect you from any fumes. It just protects you from outdoor stuff like insects and stuff like that. And it protects you. Like if you're cold, it just kind of gives you a little layer over your face. Like if you're hiking in the cold or if you're working in the cold or whatnot, that's what it's for. It has nothing to do with any medical, nothing. So I explained that to this person. I said, I see what you're doing, and I understand what you're trying to get at, but you're wrong. That photo you see is from January, and that shield has nothing to do with COVID. It's not even in the same bright. If you wore that, it's like putting a piece of tissue over your face, and hoping nothing gets through it. It's just not. That's not what it's used for. I use those all the time when I'm biking too. I'll put it over my face so no bugs or insects are going in my nostrils or my face. I'll put them out, especially when I'm at night or when it's cold. If I'm biking, I'll put that over my face so I'm not getting any of that. So, anyways, that's what it was for. But I get what they were trying to do, and I'm very outspoken, so I'm used to people looking for ways to kind of to I don't know, get to me and make their point. I respect it. I'm not somebody who gets mad about that and throws a fit and gets into a crazy argument. Um, but here's the thing. I have no problem saying when it comes to what is going on these days that we are not the same. I have no problem with saying that. I don't look at things the way a lot of people look at them. And I know that that's not popular. It's okay with people who actually view things the way I see them, as like anything else, whether it be politics, whether it be religion, whether it be whatever, sports, whatever. Anybody who agrees with you, like they love it. But I know with this virus thing that's going on, it is very controversial. There are people, like I said earlier, there are people who are losing family members. There are people who are losing friends to arguments regarding this. But this is my stance. I wish the churches would push back. I wish the churches would push back. I wish sports would push back. I wish the concert venues would push back. I wish the barbers would push back. I wish everybody would push back because the numbers don't support it. And I'll be straight with you. If church were to open up, I would be in the front pew with my kids. If the stadiums were to open up for baseball and football, we would be in our seats watching football. If concerts were to open up at the Shoreline in Mountain View, California, or the SAP Center over here in downtown San Jose, I would be there. That's my take. And that, for some reason, pisses people off. I get it. We're not all going to see eye to eye with this. We're not going to agree that we're both not going to agree that this is as deadly as they say it is, or it's not as deadly as they say it is. We're not going to agree. I'm okay with that. We are not the same. I would be front row at everything that I just listed the day they opened up. If they opened up tomorrow, I would be there front row. I'm sorry if that frustrates somebody to hear. If you're going to say, well, you don't care about other people, you don't care about your kids, you don't care about the risk. I have done my own research and I'm okay with the facts that I know, speaking to friends that I know that work at the hospital, speaking to friends that are in the health industry, speaking to people who are smarter than me, telling me that it is not what it's cracked up to be. Yes, it is real. Let me be very clear with you, because this person felt like they needed to keep telling me, it's real. It's real. How do you not? I want you to understand something. Everything you hear me saying, I am not telling you it's not real. It is very real. But it is also real that the numbers don't add up. They don't. The numbers are not what they thought it was. And for me and my family, I'm willing to continue living my life and not do all these things that they're fearing, they're fear mongering us. I'm not gonna fall in line with that. I'm just not gonna do it. That is my choice. That is my choice with me and my family and my kids. That's my choice. What they're not pushing is this: a healthy lifestyle. What they are pushing is fear. And they're guilting people into believing that if they don't wear the mask, they're selfish. If they don't do this, they're selfish. If you don't do that, you're selfish. They guilt people into doing things that they know are not helping. I know what I just said right there pissed somebody off listening. On the box, and I wish I had my box with me right now. On the box, it says, these will not work protecting against viruses. The blue masks that everybody's wearing, the ones that come right here and you bend a little nose piece, you wrap it on your ears, it says that on the box. But yet, those are the things that you see laying all over the floors when people walk out of a store and they just throw them on the ground. You see them everywhere. What they're not pushing again is health, weight loss, taking vitamins, hiking, training, biking. They're not telling you to do any of that. They're not telling you, hey, the way to get through this is to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you are doing the things to stay healthy, to make sure that your immune system is strong. Here's how you can do that. Let's be very honest. When have you heard that? When have you heard that on the news? When have you heard that on the radio? When have you heard that on any of the social media platforms? Have you heard anybody aside from a public figure like myself, or anybody who has a podcast, or anybody who's in the fitness arena? Have you heard anybody aside from people like that telling you that? You haven't. You haven't heard a candidate tell you that. You haven't heard any politician, any news person. You haven't heard any of them tell you this is how you can avoid catching this virus, or any other virus for that matter. It feeds on your immune system. If you are someone who has a weak immune system, if you are someone who is extremely out of shape, if you are someone who continuously gets sick because you don't take care of your health, this is how you avoid it. Here is a list. No, but what they will give you is a list of things to be afraid of. I know that that is very hard for some people to hear. But it is the truth. It is the truth. I live my life faith over fear. That's how I live my life. Faith over fear. This person told me, and don't get me wrong, I love this person. I've known this person since I was a kid. I kept it very cordial with this person. And I'm going to say it again. I love this person. If you are watching and listening to this thing, I love you. I mean that. I hold you very dear to me. I always have. We don't have to agree on this, and we don't have to, see eye to eye to continue to just be friends and understand that we just don't agree on this subject. But this person told me that they haven't left their house since March. We are in the end of September now. This person told me that they haven't left their house since March. Not once. I can't even imagine what they have been going through, not just mentally, spiritually, physically, not leaving the house for almost 7 months. I replied simply that I don't live my life in fear. I don't. Faith over fear. That's how I live my life. I shake hands. I give hugs. That's what I do. I think I told you guys a story about when I was at the food pantry for my church, and there was an older gentleman there named Fred. He's in his 70s. He hadn't been around the church because the church had been shut down. He hadn't even came out to a food pantry because he just doesn't do all that. But one day I showed up there, and he was there at the church, and I hadn't seen him in months since the church got shut down. And I said, "Yo, what are you doing here?" And he says to me, "Man, I missed you guys. I had to come out here because I hadn't seen anybody for so long, and I miss you guys." And I said, "Hey, man, I miss you too." And he got up and he looked like he wanted to give me a hug, and then he froze. And I know I've told this story already, but I'm going to tell you again. He froze. And I looked at him and I said, "Did you want a hug?" He's like, "Man, I could really use one. I've been at home. I'm going through it. I'm lonely." I said, "Come here, man. Come in for the real thing." And I gave him a hug. And a few people looked at me like, "Oh." But when I was done hugging him, he was in tears. And he said, "Man, I really needed that. Nobody's hugging no more. No one's greeting each other anymore. Everybody's afraid." I said, "I'm not afraid, man. I got God in my life." And I said, "Listen to me, Fred. If the world is going to end because we're going to be showing affection and love for each other, we're going to be shaking hands, giving hugs, all of that. If that's the way the world's going to end because we're showing that we love each other and care about each other, then let it end. Let this whole place end. Because we were not put on this earth to be separate. We were not put on this earth to be pulled away from each other, to be secluded. I'm not the one. You want a hug? I'm going to give you a hug. And I tell you I love you." And he smiled and wiped the tears from his eyes, and that was that. And that's how I live. Faith over fear. I respect everyone's opinion regarding this. I do. I respect everyone's opinion. I'm never going to judge anybody on what they're trying to do with their life. I'm never going to judge anybody. I'm just going to say, hey, we don't see eye to eye. It's best that we just not talk about this. And that's what I do. If they want to have a dialogue, then we can have a dialogue. But if I feel it's starting to get a little frustrating and starting to escalate, then I just usually like, hey, we should probably end this conversation. It's just not going to go the right way. I respect everybody's views on this thing, but I will not change mine. That's how I live my life. The go-to during this conversation is always, and I do mean always, the go-to is, well, I've lost people. I've lost family members. I've lost friends to this virus. It's very real. And what I can say is this. I don't take anything away from the realness of this. This is not me saying that the people that have passed away to COVID didn't mean anything. That's not what I'm saying. And my prayers are with the people who have lost family, friends, and loved ones to this disease. Everything that I'm telling you is not to take away from that. Again, this is a very real disease, virus. But I am not going to go into a whole debate of, you know, how could you be this way? I'm not. You're not going to guilt me into making me feel like I'm some bad person because I have my own views. Again, what people don't want to talk about is the health aspect, the pre-existing symptoms that we had from other types of illnesses that we may have had, other types of sicknesses that may have contributed to once COVID was caught. Now it just got accelerated because we've had pre-existing issues. Uh, Maybe being obese, maybe being, whatever it is. Nobody wants to talk about those things because it gets uncomfortable. Um, but they are true and they need to be addressed. And to be honest with you, again, you look at the CDC numbers. Recently, they just changed the count to, I believe they said out of 200 and something thousand people who died, 10,000 of those people were actually 100% COVID cases that died. 10,000. 10,000 100% COVID deaths. And that's why the country was shut down. That should upset you. If it doesn't upset you, it should. Do you guys remember when this thing first kicked off? You remember all the videos that were surfacing on the internet of them rushing to turn these stadiums into first aid camps to where they had all these beds laid out? Do you remember them saying they were running out of places to put bodies? I remember videos coming out of New York, and they were saying that they were putting bodies in these trucks, these freezer trucks, because they were running out of room. Do you remember videos coming out of China of people just falling dead in the middle of the street? Do you remember all these? They were saying people, there was body pits that were happening everywhere, yada yada. Do you remember all that? Do you remember that? I do. I remember all of it. And it was never that bad. Never. But I'll tell you what, it sure scared the hell out of everybody, right? It scared the hell out of everybody. And the damage from that alone is going to be lengthy. When this thing is up, we've damaged people for a very long time. They're never going to bounce back from that. And if they do, it's going to be a long, long time. It's very sickening to see and to remember all of those things that they were showing us early on that were false. It's disgusting. And again, it should make you mad. And if it doesn't, it should. The thing that frustrates me the most about this whole thing is this. There are people who have died by themselves. Didn't have anybody with them. Didn't have a family member, a loved one to hold their hands, to pray for them, to tell them they were going to be okay, to tell them they love them, to share stories before they crossed over and made their transition. People died by themselves because they were told they cannot be in the room with their loved one or they're going to get sick and catch the virus. People died alone. People had funerals and nobody could come. Grandparents, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, you name it, died alone. Again, if the numbers that they showed and they corrected, if that's true, and it should be because it's from the CDC, if that's true and they corrected that, it should piss you off. especially if you're listening or watching and you have a family member that you couldn't spend their last moments with them. It should anger you because they lied. And some say, well, they didn't lie, they didn't know. Okay, well, let me make you happy. They didn't know, and they adjusted it quietly and said nothing. Then the very least, they should have publicly came out instead of quietly going on their website and changing their numbers. They should have publicly came out and said, we made some very, very, very bad we made some very bad forecasts with regards to the numbers of COVID. And looking back and reviewing the numbers, these are the things that we found. And we made a very, very grave mistake. You didn't hear that, did you? Because I know I didn't. You're not going to hear it because it doesn't fit the narrative. What you're going to hear are things that scare you. You're not going to hear when they make a mistake and they have to admit to the American people that they made a bad decision and started counting people as COVID deaths that didn't have 100% COVID. They had other issues. They had other illnesses. They had other things going on with them. And died from those things. But because they had symptoms from COVID, they were signed off and said that is a COVID death. Wrong. They adjusted the numbers quietly and tried to sweep that under the table. It should piss you off. And I'll tell you what. My mom, like I said, my mom caught COVID. And she beat it. Thank God. But I'm going to tell you right now. Had my mom not have beat it, and I couldn't spend my last moments with my mom in the hospital, and then come to find out what they just did to those numbers, knowing that I could have been there, and I didn't get that chance because I was taking their word, I would make it my mission to hold somebody accountable. Again, if it doesn't piss you off, it should. I was called reckless, careless. You don't get to call me that. You don't. I'm sorry if that upsets you. You don't get to call me reckless and careless. Because I don't live by your rules. I don't live by your standards. You have every right to send me a DM and express your opinion, and we can talk. Anybody, any one of you listening or watching, know that if you DM me, I got no problem talking to you guys. Not at all. In fact, I enjoy it. But you don't get to tell me that I'm reckless and I'm careless because I'm not following guidelines that you are following because you are afraid. I don't live by your guidelines. I live by mine. I know what I'm doing to combat this thing. I do it every day. I take care of myself. I take care of my children. I keep us healthy. I keep us active. I make sure that we are taking care of our immune system. And I make sure that we stay prayed up and we stay in the game. And I'm not going to allow my kids to fall victim to this mental health or have any kinds of issues in their head because they are struggling with being isolated from their friends, their sports, and everything else. I will not do it. And I refuse to keep myself or my kids at home since March. I won't do it. Haven't done it, and I don't plan on doing it again. I was told, hey, we're looking at another lockdown again coming in flu season because of you reckless people. You don't get to put that blame on me. Sorry if that angers you. You don't get to. You can try, but it's not working with me. Faith over fear. That's how I live my life. That's how my kids live their lives. And I know that that rubs people the wrong way. But I won't bend. And I will not break. I'll have a conversation with you. And I'll be honest with you. If you make a damn good point and I was wrong, I will give you that. And I will admit that I was wrong. And if you give me some information that I didn't have, you know me. Whoever listens to this that on a regular basis, who listens to the podcast or follows me on Instagram, I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. None. I will eat my words. That's one thing I'm not afraid to do. Someone asked me, but what happens if you catch it and it's deadly? What happens? How are you going to feel if you catch it and it's deadly for you and it becomes a death sentence for you? How are you going to deal with it? Well, if I'm doing everything that I told you I was doing, it is what it is. Then that was God's time. That was my time with God. That was God saying, hey, you've had a good life. This is your time. I am not afraid of death. I've made peace with death a long time ago. What I understand about death is it is inevitable. Okay? What's the saying? There are a couple of things that are for sure in life, and that's taxes and death. That's the truth. I have accepted that, and my immortality. I want to say immortality, but I've accepted the fact that death is imminent. It's coming. Even staying. Look, I exercise every day. I could fall dead running tomorrow, going for a mile run, 2 mile, or whatever it is. I could fall dead riding my bike. I could be lifting weights and have a damn heart attack and die. The reason why I say that is I am going to live my life every day to the fullest, doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing to remain healthy. And if I still die because of what is going on, then so be it. But I will not stay home and live in fear. I won't do it. It's not going to happen. I will take the precautions. Okay? I will. And I do. Some of you guys are like, oh, you're an anti-masker. I am not an anti-masker. Okay? Like, I carry my mask with me in my car at all times. I have it in my bag that I carry with me all the time. And so do my kids. But I do not drive my car with my mask on when nobody's in my car. If you do that, you are a weirdo. I'm sorry. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. You're going to wear your mask in the car by yourself? Are you going to give yourself COVID? What are you doing? Nobody else is in your car, but you are driving by yourself wearing a mask. It's ridiculous. I have no problem telling you that. When we go into stores, we put the mask on. I do not have my kids put their mask on when we get out of the car. I tell them, do not put that thing on until we get to the door. Put it on. Because I don't want to deal with any arguments, any security guards, or any end up on some Instagram page of someone raging because I didn't put on my mask. And the minute we walk out of that store, mask comes off. So, please don't try to portray me as some anti-masker and I'm trying to make everybody's life miserable. No. I have my mask on me all the time. And the days that I forget, which if you've been on my Instagram, I have forgot my mask in the car and walked into a store. Why? Because it's not normal. We don't do that. And even that we've been doing that for the last few months, it's still days when you forget that you walk into a store that you don't have a mask. And I've done it. And no, I'm not going to run out of the store and grab my mask. If I'm in, I'm in. I will deal with the consequences. That's where I'm at with this whole thing. During this whole pandemic, I watched friends and family lose relationships. I've watched friends lose businesses. I've watched friends and family lose homes, jobs due to the government shutdown. And I've had friends that have lost family to the virus. And here's the crazy thing. They've all admitted to me that they were in the high risk category and had pre-existing. All of them. Yes, it still sucks. Yes, it's very sad. Yes, I said prayers with these people. But they also told me that they were high risk, they were elderly, they were out of shape, they had pre existing conditions, all of it. My mother catching it, I shared with you guys. I was very candid about that. It made me upset because my mom is 65 now, 66. And if my mom were living in California with me, my life would be completely different because I know that she would be living with me, and there are certain things that I just couldn't do because I don't want to bring it back to her. So, being that that was out of my control, I was very upset. Frankly, I was pissed off that she got sick. Um, but I got some advice from some friends that work at the hospital, uh, had her take a few things, and coached her through it. And even during the bad days, I stayed in contact with her because there were bad days where she was throwing up and it was terrible. And she pulled through. But my stance never changed. And it won't. My mom would be, if my mom was on this podcast, she would tell you I am a 2-time cancer survivor. I have anxiety and a whole list of other things. My mom would tell you straight up, I am in the high risk category. It's no reason, it's no mystery why I caught it. And she lives with my sister and my niece who are young and who still want to live their lives. And yeah, she could have caught it any other way. I don't know. She could have caught it anyway. The heartbreaking thing about this whole thing with me is the business loss, the business closures. Most of you know that I am a small business owner, and excuse me, I'm trying to adjust this light. Most of you know that I'm a small business owner, so when I have friends and family who are losing their businesses, losing something that they built from the ground up, it pisses me off because it doesn't have to be that way. And I'm going to always say this, I'm going to keep going back to this. If it doesn't piss you off, it should. They got Bay 101, which is a casino here in San Jose. Open. You can go there and gamble. You go there and play cards, do whatever you want. Gamble away that EDD check that you're getting. Gamble away any government assistance checks that they're giving you. Go gamble it away. Go give it away. But you cannot go to church. Nope. You can't go to rehab. If you're battling alcohol addiction or drug addiction, you can't go to rehab. It's closed. Can't go to any games. Can't go to Any gatherings, can't do anything. But you can go gamble. You can go get your liquor. Liquor store's open. You can do all that. And you can buy all your stuff on Amazon if you're afraid to go outside and make Jeff Bezos even more rich. If it doesn't piss you off, it should. They're allowing people to gamble and telling everybody they can't go to church. You battling drug addiction, you battling alcoholism. They are allowing you to go to the store to get your alcohol fix, but you cannot go to your AA meeting. You can't go to the rehab center for your drug addiction. But I'm sure there's a drug dealer out there that's willing to give you your drugs if you've got your EDD check. It pisses me off just talking about this, man. I have watched people party their way through this thing. I have watched people drink. People I know and love through this entire pandemic. And then I have watched these same people complain about the government, complain about people, the virus, complain about politics, and yet they are doing nothing to better themselves every day. What they are doing is drinking. They haven't tried to look for a new career. They haven't tried to read, to educate themselves. They haven't tried to go to school online. They haven't tried to do anything. We got a whole lot of complaining and a whole lot of drinking. I've watched it, and I know if you're listening to this, you probably have too. And if you are one of those people, or you're listening, you don't know me, but you're hearing this and you've experienced that, seen some of your friends and family doing the same thing, you don't get to talk to me about my stance on COVID. You don't get to talk to me about my approach on how I'm attacking this thing and what I'm doing during this time. You don't get to tell me I'm reckless and don't care. You don't. Because you've done nothing to try and get better. I have stayed proactive during this whole time. I've gotten in better shape. I'm in the best shape of my life. I've kept my kids healthy. I haven't had a drink of alcohol since January. And I love my alcohol. If you know me, I love my whiskey. I'm a whiskey guy. And those of you who know me know that. I love my whiskey. I haven't had a drink, not even a shot, since January. I bumped my credit score up by 200 points. I stayed working, stayed grinding. All my hustles, I just kept pushing all my hustles. Even when it looked bleak, I just kept staying on my grind. Pushing my hustles, man, and have powered through. Paid my debt down. Had my credit score jump 200 points during this time. I have read 14 books. I've launched this podcast. I'm launching a new brand. I've released an album and found more peace with my divorce. All during this pandemic. You don't get to tell me that I'm reckless. that I don't care. That who do I think I am? How come I don't care? How come I'm not staying home and caring about other people's health? You don't get to guilt me into any of that. Because my job is to make sure that my family and myself and the people in my circle are okay. And the rest, I give to God. But you don't get to tell me that I'm somebody who doesn't listen, who doesn't care about the country, who doesn't care about people, or I'm putting people at risk. You don't get to tell me that. Because I know what I've been doing. I know that I've been on a positive and on the up and up throughout this whole thing and all the work I've been doing. I know what I've been doing. I know what a lot of people haven't been doing. But they got a whole lot to say. A whole lot to say. We are not the same. I do not have a problem saying that to some of you. I don't. And I'm sorry if that offends you, but we are not the same. I don't work a 9 to 5 like most do. I don't have a boss. I haven't had a boss for over 8 years. People look at people like that and they shun them. They shun them all the time because it's not normal to them. They don't understand it. So they down talk them or they shame them. It's not the same structure. But let me tell you something. People who change the world, they are different. They're strange. They look at life different. They look at the world from a different angle than you do. They don't just conform. They sit back and say, wait. I hear you, but wait. Give me a minute. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna analyze this thing before I make a decision. That's hard for a lot of people to hear because when you hear, hey, these are the rules, your instinct is to, okay, well, we got to abide. Everybody, you're ready? These are the rules that we're given. We got to abide. Hey, what's going on with those guys? How come they're not abiding? Hey, how come you're not abiding? We got the rules now. You're supposed to abide. Not everybody. Sorry. The people who are different change the world. There has never been anybody who's conformed, who's actually changed the world. Never. It's always been somebody who's questioned the status quo, who's looked at things from a different angle and said, wait. I know this is how we're supposed to do it, but what if we do it this way? And you know what people say about them? They're crazy. They're idiots. They're careless. Look at this person. They're nuts. I hate this person. I hate how they talk. They're giving people false information because they look at things different. Those are your own insecurities and your own fears that are speaking. And because that person doesn't have those same insecurities or those same fears, it grinds your gears. It grinds them because you don't understand why they're not conforming. I will not conform. I will not break or bend. I won't. We are not the same. The crazy thing is, The people that have told me that, oh, I've stayed home, I've done this. I have watched people go to parties and say, this is my immediate circle. And there's like 20 people at these parties and there's drinking and parties and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, so your inner circle is 20, 25 people? And you're drinking and partying and taking shots. And yeah, and the only reason why I point that out is because these are people who are really vocal about people like myself, who they consider reckless or careless, who are actually the opposite. We care very much, which is why we're taking care of ourselves, why we're keeping our health up to par, why we're staying active. It's nuts, man. And I know there's somebody listening to this podcast or watching that has seen the same thing. And maybe you haven't been vocal to your friends or family or whatever, but you're watching it and you're like, who is this person to judge me? Who is this person to even say anything about how I'm approaching this virus when all they've continued to do is party and do and go to these so-called inner circle parties that are like 20, 30 people that are not in their little inner circle. They're not. You don't get to tell me that I'm putting people at risk. I've been the most vigilant about my health and my family's health. It's a cop out. And it doesn't fly with me. You get on my Instagram, I have pushed faith, I've pushed strength, I have pushed inspiration, and then some. If you're on my Instagram, you know damn well that's what I've been doing. You don't get to tell me that I'm putting people at risk, that I'm reckless, because I'm not one of the ones. We are not the same. Your situation is yours to deal with. And that may be tough to hear, but it's the truth. Just like mine is mine. Fear doesn't live here. And if someone in my family catches the disease, I accept it as a man. And I put my faith in God that I've done what I was supposed to do, that I've done right by Him, and that my body and my health are tough enough, and my immune system is strong enough to get through this and beat it in a timely fashion. And if not, then that is how the last chapter of my book was supposed to be written. And I'm good with that. Some of you probably right now got, this guy's an idiot. Like he's invincible. I'm not invincible. I'm just a man. I can die at any moment. The big difference is I've accepted that I know that is a possibility. But I'm staying healthy. I'm staying active. I'm doing all the right things. But one thing that is inevitable is death. And I have enough faith to know that, or to believe, that I will make it through this pandemic, so will my kids, without a problem. And if for some reason that doesn't happen, then it was my time to go. And I am 100% okay with that. Gives you chills, huh? Gives you chills to hear somebody say that. Trust me, there are a lot more people like me that believe in that are probably afraid to say that online because they don't want the witch hunt. I'm okay with it. I'm going to close with this. We were not put on this planet to be alone, to be separated, to be isolated to ourselves. We were not. We are supposed to greet each other. We are supposed to shake hands. We're supposed to hug each other. We're supposed to show each other that we care about each other, that we love you, that we care. That's what this country was built on. Love. You know, this, not the country, the world. This is what this world was built on. Somehow figuring it out together. Any success this world has ever had is because we've somehow figured out how to do it together. There hasn't been one person who's done everything. Somewhere along the lines, we've needed each other to make things work. And if that is going by the wayside now, we are going to fail. This entire world is going to fail. Because that's what we were not put on this earth for. We need each other. We need companionship. We need friendship. We need communication. We need affection. We need to show some sort of camaraderie. We cannot do that if we are isolated. We cannot do that if we don't leave our homes, if we stay away, if we live in fear. We cannot do that. And I refuse to be that. I refuse to be that person. I choose to be part of the solution, part of the light. I choose to be somebody that shows strength and shows leadership. And for somebody who may have been watching or listening or on my social media and living in fear, I would hope that I'm somebody that actually got them up and out of their house and started living again. That's what I hope for. Up and out of the house to exercise. Up and out of the house with their kids to go for a hike or a bike ride. If you haven't, do it. If you're someone who stayed at home this entire thing, stop. If you're healthy, you have no symptoms, you don't have pre-existing, do it. Get out. Go for a hike, go for a walk, go for a run, do something. Don't seclude yourself. Don't isolate yourself. Take care of yourself. Be cautious, but don't isolate yourself. I will not change. We are not the same. I wake up every morning and do the work to make sure of it. If you take anything from this podcast, you should be taking strength. You should be taking confidence. You should be taking a lesson of taking care of yourself. Knowing that fear is what people use to keep you in line. Knowing that fear is what's going to make, they're trying to force your hand by using fear. You have to have faith. Whatever you believe in, you have to have faith. Take that from this podcast. That's what I want you to take from this. And even if you don't agree with me, I'm okay with that. You don't have to send me some angry message on my socials because you don't agree with me. You can send me a message and say, hey, man, I listened to your podcast. I still don't agree with you. I think you're an idiot. It's cool. If I reply, I'll probably reply and say, okay, tell me where I was wrong. And we can talk. I have no problem doing that. But maybe you're listening and you're like, you know what? I needed to hear this. This gave me the kick in the ass that I needed. I need to get up and I need to start living. You got to live, man. You got to live. The end of the year is here, man. It's coming. 3 months. It's the end of the year. And if you think that magically, New Year's Eve, this is all going away, you got another thing coming. What are you going to do? You're going to stay home? You're going to lock yourself up? You're going to still continue to live like you're afraid of everything, that anything you touch is going to kill you. Is that what you're going to do? You're going to start the next year the same way? I will never tell anybody what they should be doing. But you better think about that. Because there is no on and off switch. When this hits New Year's Eve, it's not like the switch turns off for COVID and then we're back to normal again. I think a lot of you do feel like that, and that's not the case. All in the same breath, when that vaccine comes out, I will not be someone who is running to go get vaccinated or taking my kids to get vaccinated. I will not. A lot of people seem to forget that we have a vaccine for the flu, and the flu has not went anywhere. We have the flu every year. In fact, I just got a notice that we can go get free flu vaccinations. Every year, flu vaccination. The flu is still here, and people continue to get sick of it. You may not want to hear that, but it's the truth. The virus is real, but it is not what they said it was going to be. And if that doesn't piss you off, it should. I love you guys. This is episode 15 of the Perfect Mess Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. You can follow us on Instagram at The Perfect Mess Pod and at It's Player Ray with the E at the end of Ray. We're also on Facebook. You can find us there. Hit us with a like, and we're also on YouTube. Search The Perfect Mess Podcast. I love you. God bless. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
Perfect mess is my perfect mess. Perfect mess is my perfect mess.